What do you foresee for your future? Do you expect to stay in music, or are you looking towards something else? Have you thought ahead?
Well, I always think ahead. I don't know any more about ahead than I do before I start thinking about it. I'm a little more content to just kind of live day by day and review the day at the end of the day and say, well, what'd you do today? You know, was it worth living today? And usually it is. Even if it's not, I don't feel too bad about it. As long as I don't do anything too destructive. I recognize that, you know, I've pulled myself out of the world, I think fairly abruptly. Maybe before I was ready to, but I couldn't help it, and it's not my fault. And, you know, that's, if there are any good things that come out of it, I'll be happy.
Well, hopefully you continue to share what you have with other people, because it's like you've always done that. You've always shared your insights and your feeling for this country, and hopefully these new things that you're experiencing, you won't hesitate to share them like you
Well,
are.
I would like to. I think that's part of what some of these new songs are about. It's real hard for me to get into the idea of writing songs about things I'm pleased with. You know, coming out of the 60s, I mean, the whole structure of what I wrote was basically concerned with what I was displeased with. Oh, you can't do that anymore to me, and, you know, and I'm not going over there, and, you know, suddenly I had to change it around and say, well, listen, there's a real problem in the world, and we've got to recognize, first of all, who our friends are so that we can distinguish between friends and not friends. And I think that that's basically what these songs are about. I think they are confrontational to people who are borderline friends and who are not, in a good way. You know, I think it challenges them, because I think the challenge of religious life is what makes life exciting, because you're always challenged to do more than you thought you could do.
Last night I had the strangest dream I ever dreamed before. I dreamed the world had all agreed to put an end to war. I dreamed I saw a mighty room, and the room was filled with men, and the papers they were signing said they'd never fight again. And when the papers were all signed and 1,000,000 copies made, they all joined hands and bowed their heads, and grateful prayers were prayed. And the people in the streets below were dancing round and round, and swords and guns and uniforms were scattered on the ground. Last night I had the strangest dream I ever dreamed before. I dreamed the world had all agreed to put an end to war. Good night. Take it easy.
What lessons have you learned?
That not everybody who looks like you thinks like you. That's the first one. That there has to be something deeper than what somebody's job is or what somebody's politics are. There has to be communication on levels that are not so issue-oriented.
You've been listening to an interview with Arlo Guthrie. We'll be back next week with Arlo Guthrie looking backward and forward on Rock and Religion. Rock and Religion is brought to you each week in the public interest. Any communication as to the contents of this program or any other programs should be directed to this radio station or to Rock and Religion, 3132 Bradshaw, Sacramento, California, 95827. That's Rock and Religion, 3132 Bradshaw, Sacramento, California, 95827. Rock and Religion was pre-recorded.